Hello everybody and welcome back to Lioden. Today we're going to go through the process of my Lioden Dailies. Lioden is probably the most complex of the three browser games that I play because there are so many different actions that you can do, some of which that can vary depending on your personal game goals. I'm hoping this video will be helpful for those still learning how to play Lioden, and it will also touch on some of my own game goals too. So a couple of disclaimers before we start. Although I do actively play on both my main and side accounts, I'm just going to go through the dailies on my main. Normally I play my accounts simultaneously, which means that I tend to switch back and forth when it comes to real-time based actions like hunting, just because it's easier to keep track of when I can send my lionesses hunting again. However, I do want to try and keep this video to under 15 minutes or so, and I just don't think I'll have enough time to both explain some of the actions that I'm doing while trying to play both accounts. Second disclaimer is that I have been playing Lioden for 3 years now, and these are the actions that work for me. You can just adapt them or drop them in a way that works for you, but please feel free to share your own goals or dailies in the comments because your dailies could definitely help someone else who has goals similar to you but are different than mine. One final note is that you may have noticed I have a new main account king since my last video. This is Furion, and he's my 7th king. Yeah, he's my 7th king. I have finished his makeover in regards to his markings and his base, but I still haven't decided on a background for him yet. And I don't yet know if I'm going to use a lab test frog on him to give him a female pose. I don't want to because I really like his mane, and unfortunately with the females you can't have like an actual regular lion mane. You can give them a decor that is a mane, but you can't have it, won't match the body exactly, and it just won't look the same. So now that very long intro is over, let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing that I do on Lioden that I've already done is that I do my rollover, because you have to manually click to roll over your account every day. The second thing that I do, and that I already did again, is to check my game messages. Specifically, if I have any nests that if I still have lioness that I need to nest because they'll give birth tomorrow. Checking if I have any new cubs born, which yes, I could do that just by looking at my den, but it's just easier for me to see at a glance in my game messages if I have any new cubs born. And I also want to check if I have any stud requests that came in overnight, because I want to get those done first, get those out of the way while I know I still have the energy needed to accept those stud requests, because I don't want to accidentally forget about them because I ran out of energy. For actual gameplay, I guess you can say that the first thing I do actively is that I check the event. I try to check this first, especially for time-based event actions, such as last month's February Aphrodisia event. You could flirt with other players' lionesses every 15 minutes to earn heart shells, and that's definitely something that I want to check first thing. That way I can get that done out of the way, and 15 minutes later I can come back and do that again. Or if you have quests available for the event, this is the March poaching event. What is this just called, the poachers event? I can't remember what this one's actually called, but for this one, it's just heavily explore based. So you just go exploring and you can get rhino beetles that way and defeat poachers. You don't have any quests for this one, but for months like July, October, November, those are 3 of the bigger questing months. I definitely want to check those first, because some of them you have to go exploring and either defeat a certain amount of NPCs. Maybe you have to come across a specific encounter. You want to get that done first while you have a full bar of energy. There have been quite a few quests that I've had to do in the past that took me more than just this one full bar of energy. And, in order to replenish your energy, unless you have meat pies or energy boosters, or if you're able to level up your lion, if you don't have any of that, you just have to wait until your energy replenishes in real time. So you want to try to explore as soon as you can to get those quests done as soon as possible. Luckily, this is a pretty easy event in that regard, because as I said, the March event is just explore based. You can just go exploring, and then you can get rhino beetles by exploring and accomplishing certain encounters. So once I've got the event out of the way, technically this is done out of the way. I can just go exploring whenever I want to and do that. Then I send my lionesses hunting because this is a 30-minute encounter. It takes 30 minutes for your lionesses to go hunting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Choose all 5 of them. And then I don't care about stats like at all. So if you're somebody who cares about getting high stat lions, either for your entire pride or your king, some of these goals may not work for you. But because I don't care about stats, I just send out whichever lionesses go out hunting, whichever it is that's just easier for me to click on. So if I have a whole group of lionesses that are not nesting, that means I just can click that one group of lionesses, boom, they go out hunting. So I've got that done and out of the way. Once that is finished, I then go and I chase off any lionesses that I have claimed that I don't want. And the reason I've claimed these, even though I don't want them, is because I have the claim a lioness quest active. Maybe. Let me check that first. I actually think that's finished on this. So I do have that one finished. I'm not sure why I have those claimed. Oh, I remember why I have those lionesses claimed, because I did recently king a new king. I'm working on trying to improve his impression level, and you can battle NPCs and you do get impression when you win battles, but you can also claim lionesses to gain impression. Although, because I'm not a dreamboat, it is a little bit more difficult to claim them. However, it helps with impression, so I just go about it and hope for the best. So I think I've got all of those chased, and then I did have a nest that was born, which looks like it was just one cub, and I'm not going to keep it. The orchid mane is nice, but it's not that nice. So I'm just going to chase it. I am not somebody that wants to spend 60 silver beetles at the falcon just to check to see if it has a adult mutation present. You can do that. There are some players that check every single cub. I just don't do it because most of the more common adult mutations, those cubs will only go for a few gold beetles, which is usually the main mutations like silky, overgrown mane, what have you. To me, it's just not worth it for the chance that I might have a rare adult mutation or whatever. So once I get those all chased and out of the way, I don't think I have any older ladies that I can retire. This one's only 13 and 5 months, so I can't retire any of these. That's all of them gone. And once that is finished, I get rid of all of my unwanted lions. Only then will I go through and I'll feed all, play all with them. Because if I'm going to chase a lioness, there is no reason whatsoever for me to waste my food on them. So they can just go, they can just get chased while they're starving. Sorry, not sorry, they're pixels. It's not a big deal. And I really advise that if you have 5 gold beetles to spare each month, invest and play all feed all. It's just so much quicker. It's much more efficient. You can buy it from the Oasis. So if you just go to the Oasis and then scroll all the way to the bottom right here, feed all, play all, you get 30 days of feed all, play all. The nice thing about play all is that your lionesses, their mood will get all the way up to 100% just with that single click. And best of all, you don't have to spend any of your amusement items. You can then sell your amusement items to Monkey Business or in the trading center, or you can just save them for nesting materials, which is usually what I do. Okay, so they're all fed. That means that their mood and feed option, their hunger is, I won't have any issues when I go to breed them because you do have to have their hunger and their mood up a little bit to a certain amount before you can actually breed them. So I leveled her up. I don't always pay attention when I do that. Usually if I just happen to go to their page, see that they need level up, then I'll go ahead and level them up. So this one is bred, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to go and nest her right now while I'm doing it, and I thought of it. I think that was the only lioness that is in heat, because this one's for sale, so obviously I'm not going to breed her. That one, I'm going to wait and chase it when it grows up, because there's the option that you could probably claim it into explore. So I'm in 10 minutes, into the 10 minutes right now. It really doesn't take me this long to get through my dailies. It's just because I'm trying to explain all of this as I go. So that's all done. I bred my lionesses. I put them to a nest, we're good. And then I will go to monkey business. And if I have any rotting food, which I don't today, I'll just click that big red button to sell my leftover rotting food. You could certainly go into the training center and try and sell this for more if you wanted to. However, I just rather sell it to monkey business outright just because it's quicker. I just don't feel like waiting until that stuff sells. And yeah, that's just my personal preference. So pretty much everything that I've just done up until now, those are the main dailies. If I log in and do nothing else, those are all of the things that I do, because once you roll over your account, your lionesses, their hunger goes up. So you do want to make sure that if their hunger is getting really, really high, their mood, you want to feed them, play with them so that you don't have to worry about them running away the next day. So anything else after this is just if I feel like it, if I have time, then I'll do these things. So I'm going to go to crossroads. Normally, if I have a king who is a fairly higher level than my newly kinged level 4 lion and he has a higher impression, I will just immediately go exploring. As I mentioned earlier, I don't care about stats. My territory is maxed out, so I don't generally attack for territory or XP, which, like, I can't attack for territory technically anyway because my territory is maxed out. I now have to pay, what is it, gold beetles or something. But because I do want to increase my impression, my level, I am going to go ahead and attack for XP right now. So my king stats are 191. This one is 149. I could probably beat him, but there's been a few times where I was beat by a lower skilled, lower statted lion, I guess I should say technically. So I'm just going to attack for experience. I want to do that first because that takes 20 energy, and also there is a cooldown for this of 120 minutes. So if you want to do that, get that done and out of the way pretty quickly. But like I said, ordinarily, if I have a higher level lion and I'm a dreamboat, then I don't bother doing this. It's just not something that I do. So after that's done, I am going to go exploring. For this event, I've been very lax about it. So I'm going to growl, spray scent, snarl, and bite neck because this is a snarky lioness. So that's what I used. For that, it didn't work. But for this event, I'm just not really into like most of the applicators. There's not a whole lot of marking applicators in this one. And if you want to see exactly what's available in this month's event shop, just go to the wiki page and it'll tell you everything that's in there. So, like I mentioned, because even though I don't have the Claim a Lioness quest available, I'm trying to increase my impression level, and it's just pretty quick to do that by successfully claiming lionesses. But because I'm not a dreamboat, it's going to take a little bit longer, and I accidentally skipped through that. And I'm not really too focused on getting rhino beetles for this event because, as I said, this isn't one of my favorite events. It's actually kind of depressing, really. It's definitely something that's a very good cause to bring awareness to, poaching of animals in Africa specifically, what this event is for, but poaching of animals anywhere, it's a very good cause to bring awareness to. But I have to admit, for a game, it is just kind of, it's very sad, a lot of the images that are in here. So that's it. That's all. I could go through and do my daily energy boost, but I'm not going to do that because it's getting a little bit long. So once I get to around like 20% energy, I'll go through and I'll do the gorilla. However, I do have 462 monkey teeth just on my main account. I have quite a bit more on my side, so I really haven't been doing the gorilla quests all that often lately. We're going to do this one today, but this is very good because your rewards are XP, impression, and energy. I usually go with energy because the impression, you can go and you can look in the wiki to see exactly how much each of these will give you, but I personally find that doing energy, you get 60 energy when you do a difficult quest. And the energy is just worth so much more than the bit of XP and impression that you get. So I have Crimson Eyes. What was that again? Crimson Eyes, female. So female, less than a year old. Crimson Eyes, and her stats are 89. This one should be pretty easy. I usually find that if it asks you for a specific marking, the training center is probably not going to have a cub with that. That's just in my experience. And also, 99% of the time, I do not already have the cub that the gorilla asks for. I usually have to go and buy the cub. Thankfully, I can get one for 40, but I am going to check because there's been a few times where when I click on it and the cub is actually an adolescent, it's a year old exactly, and it won't work for the gorilla because he won't take adolescents. So I do actually check just to make sure that it is a cub. So I bought that cub and I'm going to choose energy again. So I'll get 60% energy for that. And then I'll just go through and I'll keep exploring. So those are all of the main dailies and activities that I do on a daily basis that help fulfill my goals. My goals that I should have mentioned earlier and I did not are, I have two of them. And the first one is that pretty much I spend just all of my time collecting marking applicators, collecting chaste lionesses in particular on my main account because I do clean breeding, which I will discuss clean versus dirty breeding in a future video, but clean breeding it's just not inbred breeding. My king he's never inbred. So I spend all of my time collecting marking applicators, chaste lionesses, so that I can breed my future king. That sounds really boring that I spend like 6 months of my time like I just kinged him and then I'm already kind of thinking about my next king, but for me, I promise it's fun. Might not be for you, but it's fun for me. And then my second goal is to produce a first gen Lioden or Tigan of my very own, which means that I also spend my time collecting breeding items and mutation breeding items, and specifically like GMO cows to help boost my chances of producing a mutation. Pretty much with all of the time and gold beetles I spent in getting all of these items, I could have easily just gone and bought my own Lioden or Tagan by now, but I really want to produce my own first gen of one of those. So those are my two main goals while playing, and those are all of the dailies that I do that help me fulfill those goals. The other things that you could do that I don't do because they don't really work for me. I've tried doing them every day and it just doesn't work. You could choose to do the beetle battling because you can get certain herbs as a prize, but this is just not something that I enjoy. I tried doing it once. I tried it for a week and it just didn't work out. You can check the giving tree quite frequently to see if there are any good drops. I don't check this that often. I do normally have chat actually open while I'm playing. And sometimes people will organize tree drops where everybody just says, oh yeah, let's do a tree drop. And then everybody drops some really nice items in the tree. So I'll keep an eye on that. And then if I do pick something up that's really good, then I'll go and I'll drop something too, just to sort of give back. I usually do not claim cubs from the gorilla because I do clean breed on my main account, and claiming from the gorilla, you're not guaranteed to get a clean cub. So sometimes, most of the time, these just aren't going to work for me. So I just don't bother doing it. I will go and I'll sell items. Like I usually just sell a lot of my skulls and like pet rock. Oh, well, pet rock doesn't sell for anything, but I usually sell my skulls and certain feathers and whatnot that sell for quite a bit. I'll just sell those outright to monkey business just because it's just easier that way. But marking applicators, some breeding items that I may not want that do sell for a lot to players and that are in high demand, I will go to the trading center and I'll go and I'll sell that stuff. But I don't do that all that often. I may do it once a week because in order to check prices, I just check, like, say, for example, if I want to sell buffalo scrotum Buffy balls, I will go and I'll look to see what other players have their Buffy balls listed for, and then I'll just price it accordingly. And that can sometimes take a while, especially if you have a lot of items that you want to check the prices on. So I may only do that once a week. Something else you could do that I do not do are the games, like the slot machine, for example. I did play this for a little bit earlier, and I just don't always do this because it's 50 silver beetles per slot and you get 5 spins per hour. However, you're not guaranteed to get a prize that is worth the money that you spent. Sometimes you'll get a lot of, like, there was one day, for example, that on my very first 50 silver beetle spin, and I got like 200 silver beetles as a reward. There you go. That was definitely worth it. That was a profit. But sometimes you might get 5 dud spins in a row and then you don't win anything. So that's just up to you. I'm not into stats, as I mentioned, but if you do want just a few stats for your lion, then you can play Bow Ball. I think it's just twice every day. You can play these other games for the chance to win silver beetles or prizes, but I don't do these unless I'm really, really bored. Partly because I suck at Reptile Roundup. That's just not a game that I'm very good at, so I tend to avoid it whenever possible. But as I mentioned, those are all the things that work and that don't work for me based on my 2 game goals of producing a really nice looking king, because I just care about the looks of my king. I don't care about stats, and to help me produce a first gen Leopon or Tigan of my very own. So if you guys do have any questions, if I went through something too fast or if I didn't explain something well enough and you have questions about it, please feel free to ask. Also, please feel free to share your own dailies or your own personal goals in the comments below, because what I shared today might not be helpful for some players, but what you have to share might be helpful for them, so we can help each other out and have a lot of fun playing Lioden, because it is a fun game. There's just a lot of components to it, and I know that some of those components tend to get very, very confusing, but remember that the wiki is your friend. If you have a question about Lioden, please go to the wiki, because it explains pretty much everything, like step by step, about the game. You just have to utilize it in order to learn from it. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.